atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
Gotham, this is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car.
20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. A dark knight.
I'm Batman.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill Jett Ramey and Rick Shue.
Hey now, and happy Batman Day 2016. Thanks for joining us today on the Batman on Film podcast. I am the podcast host and the founder of BOF, Bill Jett Ramey. BOF is the sponsor and a proud member as well of the Batman Podcast Network. Check us out at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. If you have a Batman or Batman-related podcast and would like to join the network, send in your request to jet at batman-on-film.com. And it can be, even if you talk about Batman just a little bit and it's focused on something else, because, hey, Justin, how you doing?
Hey. How you doing?
Justin's podcast is a member of the Batman Podcast Network, and it's not totally Batman. Really, it's really more...
There's no, it's when I talk about it.
Yeah, it's when you talk about it. So, yeah, that's
it's the cool. Let's Go podcast.
Yeah, it's the Let's Go podcast. So that's cool as well. If you're a Batman fan, have a podcast, and on occasion you throw in Batman, you are free to join. So send us an email. All right, guys. Rick, you okay? You had another back procedure.
I'm fine.
Let everybody know out there. I know they're concerned.
Bane, get a hold of you, bro.
I'm fine.
You need to see that doctor that lives in the pit that was in The Dark Knight Rises. That
telling you.
That fixed Bruce Wayne.
Or if you want to get real nerdy, Dr. Chandra Kinsolving will have a...
Oh, that was a pool.
Yeah.
That was good.
A mind warp that'll reverse polarity.
That's actually what I'm doing on Batman Day. I'm gonna walk around on a Batman mask and tell everybody Bane broke my back. That's why I'm looking at this.
I like that. Okay. All right, Ryan, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Right,
I can't wait to talk about Batman Day.
Yeah, I think we're all
Batman
excited. I'm ready to go. It is Batman Day 2016. So let's get right into it. Rick is going to have to leave us here shortly, so if you don't hear him in the next segments, there is a reason. Rick, you want to explain to the listeners?
Well, I appreciate that, and I love our listeners, and that's why I'm here. Which is a difficult morning because I'm producing and hosting our second Left Shoe Politics podcast, and I almost hesitate to bring it up because I know some of you may not care about politics, or you may vehemently disagree with my political positions, and I don't want that to have anything to do with this site. But I didn't have Batman Day on my Outlook calendar, and so I scheduled this on the wrong day. And the problem is I have so many guests, and they're in L.A. and San Francisco, and I just couldn't reschedule with them. So I'm here for a few minutes because I at least want to get my 2 cents in on our first round of thoughts. But happy Batman Day, and I'll miss you guys, and I know the rest of the podcast will be just as good, if not better, without me. So.
All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to talk about our favorite Batman films. We're going to rank them. How are we doing this, Ryan? It's our favorites, our personal, how we view the rankings,
personal favorites, personal. Okay. Yes.
And it will not. It's not a consensus. It's our individual takes on the films and how we feel about them. We are going to include Mask of the Phantasm, even though it's an animated film. We are going to include the 40s serials, the 1943 Batman and 1949 Batman and Robin. And we are not going to include Suicide Squad, even though I've long said it is kind of sort of a Batman film. At least it exists in a sector of the Batman part of the DCEU.
He's not the main character.
Yes, he's barely in it. So
yeah,
we're not going to include that. So Rick, since we're pressed on time with you, give us your rankings of the your personal favorite, how you rank them Batman films.
If I go all the way to the bottom of the list, I kind of have to start with the 40 serials. I mean, I do appreciate that they were made and they hold their own, but they're not good. No, they're not the least bit good. And they don't even really keep the integrity of the characters very well, in my opinion. I just think they're just kind of cheap and thrown together and
super racist.
And they're super freaking racist. Of course, everything.
Well, the first one is.
Yeah, the first one. Well, everything was back then. I mean, the Little Rascals were racist. Tom and Jerry was racist. I mean, there was a lot of, we're going back to 40s and 50s, and things were just kind of like racist, which is sad. So I guess my bottom one would be the 1949 serial.
Okay.
That one for sure. I mean, there's not really anything to say good about it or like about it, and it's just not good. And then my one after that would be my second to the least favorite would be Batman and Robin. Not the Joe Schumacher film, although that's pretty darn close. But this one would be
the 49 serial.
Yeah, well, no, the 49 serial was the first one. I'm talking.
No, it was not.
The 49 serial was Batman, right? Batman and Robin was the 43 serial.
No, Batman was first, and Batman and Robin was next.
Okay, I have that backwards. Okay, so then yes, so swipe those titles. So sorry, they're equally as bad. One's a lot more racist.
Have you been talking to Mark Hughes or something?
Yeah, he got
it mixed up on his Forbes column.
No, I haven't talked to Mark. Why? Why do you say that?
He swapped them too on his Forbes column to ranking the Batman films yesterday.
Oh, did he really?
Yes.
No, I didn't even know. But the truth is, to me, they're kind of interchangeable. So
I texted.
They're not to me. I'll tell you why.
Yeah. I sent him a text and said, "You got to swap those, dude." And he said, "Oh man!" And he went back and he did change it. So. Anyway,
oh, did he? Okay.
Yes,
no.
Continue on.
Well, good for him. No. I did not, but at the same time, just they're equally as bad. And I haven't seen either one of them in so many years, guys. It's really hard for me to give a true analysis of them. Just I tried to watch them over and over again through high school, through college, and I probably haven't popped one in because I do still have these guys on VHS probably since I was in my 20s. So do forgive me if I have them backwards, but
that's cool.
They're inconsequential basically.
Yes.
So. Moving on from there. Okay.
I wouldn't say that. They're very.
No, I'll tell you why. They're not.
They're an important part of Batman history.
Yeah, well, they might be an important part of Batman history, but I don't think well.
Rick, okay. Let me clear this.
Let's just move on and say that I think.
No, go ahead, Justin. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay.
I think that cinematic Batman really started with the ABC pilot.
It did, but okay. So here's the deal. The 1943 serial is leaps and bounds more has a lasting legacy on the character because of the 43 serial, we have the Batcave and we have Alfred.
Yep.
And Alfred was actually modeled, the look of Alfred, as we know him today, was modeled after the actor that played him in that 1943 serial. So we have two major Batman legacy things to think that 43 serial.
He was a
short, fat dude.
I
Alfred
completely forgot about that. You're right. So
yeah. And the costume, in my opinion, was way better.
Touche on that. We have Alfred in the Batcave because of them. Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
Right. So that's their lasting legacy, and God bless them for that. Because what would we do without Alfred?
Yep.
What would we do? What would Bruce Wayne do without Alfred's a better question.
No pissy schwab.
No. It's supposed to be cold. It's supposed to be cold. Such a weird scene, isn't it? I mean, I'm a food guy, and I remember watching that going, this is just out of place. What a weird scene. Okay, so next for me after that would have to be, oh gosh, it's such a tie between Batman Returns and Batman and Robin. They're both equally deplorable, but for different reasons. So I'm going to say that it's got to be Batman Returns. And the reason is, if you have a film that is done by a filmmaker and it's actually followed by a film that was fantastic, and the director did not have enough respect for the universe that he created to give a damn to carry it over into the next film, therein lies the original sin. These movies are not even in the same universe. They don't feel the same. They don't look the same. Everything other than the car, I mean, it's like it's a different film. It's almost like the first one was directed by somebody else. Tim Burton took the helm and said, cool, I liked Batman 89, but I'm going to make this really weird, depressing Batman sequel in my own little universe. And like Bill, you and I have said over the years, and I believe you said it first, is that this isn't a Batman movie. It's a Tim Burton movie It's a shitty Tim Burton movie with Batman characters in it. And I think that the way that the Penguin was portrayed was not only just depressing and ridiculous, it was also just goofy. Everything about it was either really gross and depressing, or all of a sudden he's got the little penguins running around with the missiles on the back, or he's in that big stupid duck. It's like this weird dichotomy. It's this weird dichotomy. There's nothing in between about it. The only scene in the whole film where I see the penguin and I really love this scene, it's like I could take it out and have this 30-second beautiful moment, is when Batman and him meet face to face for the first time. And he's like, you're not the mayor. He's like, things change. That whole exchange is awesome. Other than that, it's garbage. Michelle Pfeiffer was fantastic in it. Too bad that she was in such a horrible movie. Okay. After that would be Batman and Robin. Now, here's the thing. To hate this movie is to just not be able to sit through it and stomach it. It's not like there was like ill intention. I think there were ill intentions with Batman Returns. I really do. But Batman and Robin is just misguided.
It's my gosh! We said the same thing.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a Goocher moment, dude. It's like the movie on that.
It's absolutely
it's a misguided film. His heart was in the right place. He did some really good things with Batman Forever, and so therefore he wanted just to. I think he focused on the things in Batman Forever, the wrong things. Like if he focused on the things that worked about Batman Forever and improved on those, we could have had a really great film. Instead, he took the things that were wrong with Batman Forever and he just ran with those, and that's the problem. It's a silly movie. It's hard to watch. It's overtly goofy, and that's really all there needs to be said about that, right? Okay, so then afterwards would be Batman Forever. Now, I don't hate this film, and I understand it was a direct reaction to everything I just said about Batman Returns. This was Warner Brothers saying, "Look, we have to do a 180. This last film was a mess, and we need to really turn the page and do something radically different." And they did, and I applaud them for that, because it was a much more commercially successful and just widely accepted film in general, fans alike. But it still it's still implemented too much of what we didn't need. In other words, I wish it would have stayed more along the lines as Batman 89. It didn't need to completely abandon that universe, because Batman Returns was the problem, not Batman. And so if Joe Schumacher could have focused on that, which he did a little bit, there were some nice scenes. I really like some of the stuff with what's Nicole Kidman's doctor's name?
Dr. Chase Meridian.
Chase Meridian, thank you. I like a lot of the scenes with the two of them when he's talking about his visions and everything. And there was some good Bruce Wayne stuff going on in that film. And I think Val Kilmer is one of the better Bruce Waynes that we've had on film as well. So I'm going to give him that. But it just doesn't, it's still just focused too much. It implemented too much of the 60s TV show, big flamboyant neon colors, and all that was just very distracting. I thought, Two-Face was so incredibly one-dimensional. And that's sad, because he's
should have had 2 dimensions at least.
Yeah, it's at least 2 dimensions. Anybody? Hey, he's so bad, and they had an amazing actor to play him. And I talk about this in my review on Batman on Film. The one time we really see him as truly struggling with his duality is the very last scene he's in, and Bruce is talking to him. It's right before he throws all the coins up. And then he falls to his death, which was a very kind of lame ending for him. But that moment,
move, Batman.
Yeah, but that moment where he's doing some self-reflection, talking about Harvey Dent, it's a great scene. It's a really great scene. I wish we would have seen more of that. Jim Carrey, look, I was never a Jim Carrey fan. He got on my nerves. I was of the age when he was in his prime. Like a lot of comedic actors, and I'm going to say this is probably going to stir up a lot of controversy, whether it's Robin Williams or Steve Martin, there's some people that I never really found very funny, and were always thought their comedy was overrated. But Jim Carrey, along with the 2 guys I just mentioned, can act. And so what I've loved about Jim Carrey since then is some of the films that he has done, whether it's Truman Show, for instance. He's a very talented actor, just never really found him that funny. And to me, this was just basically Ace Ventura in a Riddler costume. And so it did nothing for me. Okay, so there's kind of my overall view of Batman Forever. It also, one last thing, it's probably the film I'm going to talk about the most, because it's the one I kind of have more of a love-hate relationship than any of the other films because the rest of them are pretty definitive. It also sort of showcased the pitfalls and the problems of introducing a live cinematic Robin. Because if they had him as young as he should be, as he was in the comics, it wouldn't work on film. It would be weird. Everybody agree with that? Right?
It'd be hard to pull it off.
It would be very hard to pull off.
That'll be a contentious topic.
Yeah, very.
I would like to have a podcast on that at some point.
Yeah, and I love Robin, by the way. I do. I want to see him work. But then you had 18-year-old Robin on a motorcycle, and Bruce was like, well, you can come live with me. And my first thought was like, go get a freaking job in an apartment, dude. You're like 19 years old. So that didn't work either. And so I don't really know what the answer is. Maybe you just kind of make a hybrid Robin and make him a cop. I don't know.
You give Batman his own true son
and just let him
a ninja.
and then just let him turn into Batman.
Oh, there we go.
I think he was supposed to be age-wise. He really was like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
In Batman Forever, he wasn't He wasn't an adult yet. That's why he had to be. He was
a ward of the state.
Yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, be that as it may, Chris O'Donnell didn't look that age. They never said it. When he pulls up on a motorcycle, he looks like he's at least 18. But that's just me.
Well, because he was the actor. He was, but
I'm talking about the character.
Yeah,
though.
the character.
If they're going to make him 16, they don't have to make him pull up on a motorcycle.
Well, I bought the fact that he was 16, 17-ish. So anyway, whatever. All right.
Can you ride a motorcycle at 16? I don't think in Texas you can. I think
if your parents are dead and you're the only person that can drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not in
There's
Texas.
no rules in the circus.
All right. So moving on for Batman Forever. But I did like Val Kilmer in the role, and I like that, that Michael Goff returned, and I wish they would have kept the Danny Elfman score and just didn't go too far the other way.
I do like the Elliot Goldenthal theme. So anyway,
not bad.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan, but it's all right. Okay, next would be Batman, the ABC pilot. Now, I love this movie, and it seems like it's low on the list, but now
it's not a pilot, Rick.
But the original film was intended to be the pilot of the show.
But it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
And they filmed it later.
They filmed it after season 1.
Okay, hold on just a second. So, when the very first... Who plays Catwoman in this film?
Lee Merriweather.
Lee Merriweather, right. She was on after Julie Newmar did a season?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because
I need to check my history on that.
Yeah, Newmar.
Julie Newmar. Yeah.
She was unavailable to do it.
Okay, cool. Well, I have my history wrong, but regardless, none of that changes my opinion of the film. I still really just love it. I love the characters. I love how you had all the villains together on screen. That's a lot of fun to watch. I love all the actors that play all the villains. We've talked about this before. You have Cesar Romero, you have Burgess Meredith, all fantastic. Frank Gorshin, good stuff. So it is what it is. It holds its place in history. And like myself and many of us, it's the absolute reason why we all fell in love with Batman in the first place. Right? So for that alone, what else do you say about it? It's a greatness. Okay. So then you wanted to include one animated film, right?
Yes.
And you wanted to include Mask of the Phantasm.
That's because it was released in theaters originally.
Okay. That's right.
It was a theatrical release.
And it was, I remember going to see it in the theater, and it was in between Batman Returns and Batman Forever. I'm pretty sure, right? Because I was in
it was 93.
Yes.
Okay, because I was in high school when I went to see it. That makes sense, as I graduated in 93. So, it's fabulous. I mean, I could see, this could have made, when I think about that film, I think, man, this could make a really awesome live action film as well. That's my first thoughts when I think about it. When I think back on it, it's just, it's rather perfect. And the animated series to me was flawless, right? I loved everything about it. So I don't have anything to say about Mask of the Phantasm except that it's wonderful. And quite frankly, I need to revisit it. I haven't seen it in probably 5 years. So, and I have it, I have that on VHS as well somewhere. Then my next film will be Batman 89 that holds its own, stood the test of time. It's fantastic. Again, I wish that Batman Returns was more along the lines of this film. And to our, I know we said we weren't going to really bring him up, but to our little buddy on YouTube that was saying how much we hate Michael Keaton.
Cut that out.
and bash him. No. In fact, we all love Michael Keaton in the role, and we even love him in Batman Returns. But Batman is fabulous. It's one of those films too that really was sort of the first time you think about a marquee character almost played second fiddle, because you could have really called this film The Joker, because really the movie almost was more about him than Bruce Wayne, but it still worked. It was balanced enough where it's not overkill, but it certainly he was certainly the star of the film as well. It was definitely I mean, they listed him first on the credits. I mean, it wasn't Keaton Nicholson; it was Nicholson Keaton, right?
Yeah.
That's how they marketed the film from the word go.
Well, it's that, but they also had to. He was contractually, per his contract, he would get top billing.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I can remember going to Spencer's Gifts in high school. I was a freshman when
they still have that.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, no,
they do.
They are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not
last year they had a special Batman Day comic book.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, this is what I know. I know that
I used to love.
I know that when I would go into Spencer's, there would be like twice as many Joker posters as Batman, and I don't mean in stock. I mean variety, right? Like the day the shipment came in, like it's all the inventory's going up. There would be like 14 different kinds of Batman posters, and there would be like 30 Joker posters. So that's just something I always remember. And there was always just a lot more options, just in the marketing end of it. But it's a fantastic film. I wish that we could have seen more of it. I still love it. I watch it probably at least once a year. And still my favorite line in the whole film is when Keaton just drops his Batman voice altogether, and he's just standing on top of the cathedral, and he says, "Excuse me, you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?" And then, just smacks Joker in his face. There's something about that scene. It's just so like, not giving a damn. You know what I mean? Like he's even, I'm not even doing my Batman voice. This guy knows who I am. I know who he is, and we're about to get it on. It's good stuff. Okay. Moving on from that, the top 3 films of the Nolan trilogy. It's hard for me to put these in order, really. I guess as films, I'm going to have to put Rises third. And that's a hard decision, particularly since it kind of gets the worst rap out of all the films, which I think is so undeserving. But I will say that pound for pound, it's just not quite as strong as the first 2, but I mean that's just so I can answer this question accurately, or how the questions are formatted. Because quite honestly, it's one big film. But I love it. I love The Dark Knight, which I'll put at number 2, and I'll put Batman Begins at number 1. And I can't not put Begins at number 1 because it's the best origin story film ever. I mean, on film. I can't get enough of it. I watch it. If it's on, I can't change the channel. I pop it in 2 or 3, 4 times a year. It's the one I watch more. What's that?
It's my rankings for those 3 films like shift by the minute. I mean, it's because they're so good. It's so hard to rank them.
It's so hard. What I do wish is one of the criticisms of the trilogy is Christian Bale's Bat voice, which I think is unfair for the most part. But I will say this. I do wish that he would have carried the voice from Batman Begins in all 3 films.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about Begins is perfect. And I've talked about this. And I'll talk just really about Begins for a moment, because it just know that it all just kind of it bleeds into the other 2. So I can just kind of leave those alone. And, of course, we've got to just kind of give props to Heath Ledger's Joker. And, for that matter, Harvey Dent, because I'm going blank. What's his name?
Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart, thank you. He doesn't get enough credit, or people don't talk about him enough.
Yeah.
He's as good as Harvey Two-Face as Ledger was the Joker. And so I wanted to point that out real fast. But Batman Begins, what I loved is I remember watching it the first time in a theater, and I was getting these moments that I have never had on film before. Like Batman crouching the way he did, and just little nuances. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is Batman. This is the Batman I've wanted to see on film for a long time. I can't think of any other moment just where he crouched. And then one of my favorite moments is when he flies in and he lands in his cape, just sort of engulfs him, and he just looks up and he's like, "It ends here." God, that's so awesome. Everything about it is great. I don't even mind Katie Holmes in it. I don't understand why people hated her in the film. Thought she was fine.
I love her.
She's good, and
she just didn't.
I know bad
she
acting.
wasn't
Where's
as
the
good.
acting?
No, her acting wasn't bad. She's just not in the same level.
She's not in the
as
same
Belle
caliber, right?
Or
she was
Liam
like a
Neeson.
WB. Like,
Yes,
here,
yeah,
you got Mandy.
yeah.
But again, I think that's just. I mean, if as far as the role goes and what it required for the film, she carried herself perfectly. I don't need to know which one could do Hamlet better.
Yeah,
that's
but
you know what I'm saying.
That's not why she didn't come back. That's a whole different deal.
No, of course
Yeah.
not. Now, I will say this, and I don't want to contradict myself because I am praising her in that film as it stands, okay? But when I think about the scene with Gyllenhaal and she's tied up and the countdown is right before either her or Harvey's going to be blown, to smithereens, the way that Gyllenhaal handles that scene where she's letting Harvey know that she loves him, also knowing that she's probably going to die soon, and that balance, I'm thinking, I don't know if Katie Holmes could have pulled that off. That is a whole different level of acting that was required for that part. So
yeah,
just want to point that out because that's a very strong scene.
All right, Justin, you got any thoughts on Rick's rankings? I thought
There's a lot where I match up, and there's a lot where I'm like, well, I'm on the exact opposite spectrum of him. But
I know because you love
whoa.
Batman Returns.
You didn't. Rick, you didn't.
Rick, you missed one.
You missed Batman v Superman.
Oh, I did. I did miss Batman v Superman. Okay, let me throw that in real quick, and also just say that after this, I got to run because my podcast starts in 10 minutes, and I've got to prepare for it.
Was probably
was that
kind of a Freudian slip in a way? Go ahead.
Okay, so goodness, where do I place Batman v Superman? Where did Mark place Batman v Superman?
He ranked it high,
quite high.
Okay,
I love you, Mark.
what's funny is I shared his article on Batman on Film yesterday, but I just glanced at it. I haven't really dived into it yet.
It's really well written. And he makes a case for everything. But
yeah, it's a great article.
No, that's what I say. His writing is always great. I mean, I read his stuff.
Me and Mark are worlds apart on BBS, but I mean, I've told him that we've discussed it. It isn't nothing personal. But go ahead. Where would you put it?
I read his Dark Knight stuff, and he's on point on that. But I do think he ranked BBS before Rises, didn't he? Is that true? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's somewhere up there.
This is about my opinion. So with BVS, where do I put them? Where does it fit? I don't know. God, I literally left that out. I made a frickin' list this morning and I left that out. That's funny. Okay, so here's the thing. It's I'm gonna put BVS. I'm gonna put it after Batman Forever. So then you have Batman Forever, BVS, Mask of Phantasm, and then 89, and then the trilogy.
So Ascending, you would put it after Batman Forever, right?
Ascending, yes,
okay.
It is. Yeah. It is a top. It is a notch above Batman Forever because it just is.
No, it's not. But anyway,
no, it is. It's a better film. It has stronger. It has characters that are more in depth. It has characters that are more in depth, and I at least believe that the characters exist. Even Luthor, yes, I liked his Luthor. Half of the characters in Batman Forever weren't even real. They didn't exist. They were so cartoonish.
None of the characters exist. Right?
Boiling acid.
Yes.
Oh, but
Batman's
they do.
not real either, even though I love him.
But they do. You know what I mean by that?
You're trying to get me going
I
on
do.
Batman v Superman.
You believe that they exist. But the all the sub characters in the Joe Schumacher
I believe
films,
they exist in the trilogy, not in BBS.
Hey, here's a good example.
Sorry.
I don't believe that that Edward Nygma's boss exists in real life. How's that?
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
You know see what I'm saying? Like that guy's not real. You know, that's what I'm getting at. Everybody in BBS was real. Like the guy that could not walk that worked for Wayne and these guys.
Lex Luthor,
real character. No, the guy that
Joe
fell on his
that guy
building fell on his legs. The guy that spray painted the monument. Come on, man. The guy that was blown to
Scoot McNairy.
Blown to smithereens. That guy was real.
Scoot McNairy. His character.
McNairy.
Yeah.
He didn't ask
Wally
not once. Like, well, hey, are you sure that I'm not getting payments for my legs? He didn't even ask.
Oh God,
he just let them not. Oh my God. Anyway.
Whoa. That's a script flaw, but that doesn't mean that
that makes him less real.
But
that makes the character stupid,
like,
Rick.
Edward Nygma, you're fired.
You know what?
That's not good either.
None of that shit in Star Wars is real, and you love all that universe. So
this brain
I don't think being real or not is a criteria to rank a film over another, because then we would eliminate fantasy and horror and all that other stuff. So anyway,
all right, well, all right. I've got to run, but I want to
hold on before you go.
Let me can't leave on.
Hold on, no. Before you go, let me let Ryan respond while you're on, and then you can.
About mine.
Then you can bid your adieu.
Let me say this about Ryan. I want to thank him for pointing out the serial history with the Batcave and Alfred. I didn't even. That was off my radar.
Yeah,
but the Batman thing, the TV show thing, that's kind of a big deal for me. I've always thought that was the pilot, and that's
it was meant to be.
But
it wasn't.
They were going to do the movie first and then go into the TV show, but due to time purposes, they did the TV show and then the movie the summer after the film or after season 1.
Well, what surprises me is what I've been walking around with for years is just the mischaracterization of why Leah Merriweather was there. I thought it was the other way around. I thought she was the original Catwoman, and then Julie Newmar came in and replaced her. That is good to know.
Yes.
Wow. That's humbling to have not known that. So there you have it.
All right, Ryan, any thoughts on
you learn something every day, even when you think you know what the hell you're talking about.
You learn something new about Batman every one of these podcasts, sir. So anyway.
Is that right?
Ryan, go ahead, and any thoughts on Rick's ranking?
I thought Rick's list was good, and a lot of it I can't argue with, and some of it I can. It's super hard to rank those Dark Knight trilogy films, as you'll see on my list. And it's hard to put BBS in a spot, and it's just, but you made a case pretty well for all of them, and I think most of our lists are probably in the same kind of chunks in terms of what we're going to rank things with the exception of Batman Returns. I think between all three of us, I'm guessing. So good list, Rick.
All right, Rick, got anything to close out with since you're going to leave us? Or Batman Day, or anything about Batman? I'm about to be hopped up on pain meds again. I've been a lot of pain. I'm going to just lie on bed and zone out and watch. I don't know. I may figure out a way to watch some VCRs. Go bust out some Mask of Phantasm, to be honest with you. I'm kind of itching.
Oh, then you can watch those Batman serials if you get the VCR.
No, don't care to watch the serials again. But yeah, so there you have it, guys.
Here's one more trivia thing for the serials, which I would say in my thing, but I don't want you to not know this other thing too, Rick. One reason why the 66 show got made is because of those serials.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, because producers and I think Hugh Hefner or whatever was showing the serials.
At the Playboy Mansion, they would have these big parties and watch the serials and kind of sort of make fun of them, But
sure.
And they were like, "Hey, we should bring these back. Do it."
Sure.
Yeah, so
that's where the whole cliffhanger, the 2-part cliffhanger.
We definitely can.
That's right.
So they hold her on the listen now. The whole Alfred Batcave thing. That is significant. So let's just say that one was meant to be made, and glad that it happened. But the other one, there was no reason for it.
Yeah, Alfred was originally a short, fat dude, and in fact,
Alfred Beagle.
Yeah, Alfred Beagle. And they always tried. There were always several stories of him trying to lose weight, and in fact, they worked it into why his profile changed or his appearance changed. He went to a fat farm.
And didn't BVS, didn't Snyder, and it was never really established, but didn't he make him where he wasn't actually their butler? He was head of their security. I don't know.
According,
that's from the Jeff Johns thing. I haven't seen
it was just in one of those books about the making of or the technology guide, the technical guide of BVS. It never was in the film. I mean, it never said.
Man.
No, it wasn't.
He failed as head of security.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but I think it was just a fun little tidbit. And then I enjoy watching his Alfred with that in mind. I just do. It just kind of enriches the character a little bit.
I like him as Alfred, but he's no Michael Caine Alfred.
Listen, there's nothing's ever going to top. Let's just accept this right now. Bruce Wayne as Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne and Michael Caine as Alfred, and their dynamic, we're never going to top that. It's not going to happen. Never. So you accept that, and then everything else is fine. Then you can enjoy things a little bit better at face value, right? That's my That's my 2 cents. Okay.
Let yourself be surprised in the future, I think is the.
Let yourself be surprised. I knew that Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton or Diane Keaton. What's his name again? Or her name again?
Diane Lane.
But I knew that we were not going to get the dynamic that we had and the chemistry we had. We weren't going to. And I didn't go in with expectations thinking that. I walked out going, yes, I love it.
All right, very good.
That's all.
Are you gone? Or are you gonna?
Yeah, I gotta go. You guys have a great one, and
right.
Looking forward to hearing everybody's list. I'm really looking forward to hearing Justin justify the crap that is Batman Returns. Love you, dude. Love you, dude.
Hung me out to dry. There we go.
Yeah, Rick Shoe, everybody. All right,
45
guys.
minutes.
I'll go next. I want you two to end this segment of the show, or this segment. Yeah, this segment of the show. So I have at the bottom Batman and Robin, 1949, and then followed by Batman 43, the 2 serials. So I think that's pretty universal. Of these 12, there are 12 total. At number 10, I have Batman Returns. I cannot watch that film to this day. I mean, I can watch anything Batman. I cannot watch that film today. I just still can't. I don't like it. There's nothing about it I like, except for maybe Keaton as him as Batman is great. But other than that, and then of course Michelle Pfeiffer, her performance is awesome. I don't like the characterization of Catwoman. The other stuff, I can't stomach. At number 9, I have Batman and Robin, 1997, George Clooney, Batman and Robin. I can watch that. I used to couldn't. I can watch it because I can almost laugh at it now, and that I couldn't do that. It was Batman Begins and The Dark Knight and all that, the trilogy that enabled me to be able to stomach Batman and Robin. I'm not saying it's anywhere near a great film, but it's not even close to a great film. It's not even a good film, but I can watch it where that's the difference between Batman and Returns and Batman and Robin is that I can't watch Batman Returns, but I can watch Batman and Robin. Not the whole thing, but bits of it. At number 8, I will have Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Well, you know what I think about that film. I didn't like it, and I got to where it was just okay, and that's where I'm at today. I love Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck was a perfect Batman. He looks like Batman. He looks like Bruce Wayne. I want to see more of him. Number 7, I have Batman Forever, a film that I do. I like Batman Forever. I'm sorry. I liked it when I saw it in 1995. I liked it. I like it today. Yeah, it's got a lot of issues. Tommy Lee Jones is over the top as Two-Face, and as well as Jim Carrey's Riddler. But I wish that film had been cut the way Schumacher intended it to be cut, and I think it would have been a much better film. And I would even agree with Mark Hughes because he makes an argument that if you took that part, that Red Diary stuff included in the film, it might have been as good or better than Batman.
It'd be the best of those 4 movies.
Yes,
yeah.
I would agree with that totally, and it's a shame that didn't happen. That they cut the film the way they did.
Yeah.
For at that time it was for time purposes and so forth. At number 6, I have the '66 Batman film. I remember as a kid watching it when it came on TV. I don't remember. Obviously, don't remember seeing it in the theater. I wasn't even 1 years old yet. I was I wasn't 1. I was turned 1 in October that year. So, but I own it. I own the Blu-ray. I watch it. I love it. Love that Batman. Even though there was a period of time in my life that I rejected the stupidly rejected it, and that was a dumb part of my life. I've talked about that before. The Adam West Batman, which, I've embraced since then, as I should have. Embarrassed about that. Ashamed about that segment of my life, my Batman life. At number 5, I have Batman 89. I probably watched that film. That Batman film I've watched more than any other. No doubt. I still have the third VHS boxed up somewhere. I went through 2. I completely wore them out. I watched that movie. I don't know how many times, hundreds of times. I've watched it more than any other film. The hype leading up to that movie, I'll never forget. The Batmania. It was fantastic.
I'm going to tweet you guys a very important picture related to that. You'll see it in just a minute.
All right. Now I'm getting into the top 4, and I may surprise some people here. At number 4. And I would agree with Rick that it's hard to separate the Dark Knight trilogy because it is one long story, but it is 3 films, so we have to. At number 4, I have The Dark Knight Rises. Loved The Dark Knight Rises. Cried at The Dark Knight Rises at the end. It moved me. Bruce alive and with Selena. I love the film. I understand why some people don't. I think it was not a film that they were expecting, but it was kind of the film I expected, and I got what I wanted in the whole trilogy. And I think it worked. I think if you take Rises and you look at it in context of with the other 2 films, it's better. If you look at it as a standalone, yeah, I can see some of the issues that people would have with it. At number 3, I have Mask of the Phantasm. I said before Batman Begins, for years before we got the Dark Knight trilogy, that Mask of the Phantasm was the best Batman movie ever made. It's better than Batman 89. Obviously, I ranked it higher than Batman 89. And I do agree with Rick. It would have been a heck of a live action film as well. At number 2, I still think it's the greatest comic book superhero film ever, but it is number 2 on my personal list, and that would be The Dark Knight. It's a great movie. It's the standard bearer for this genre of films, and I don't think anything will ever top it. Nothing's topped it yet. I don't care how much money any Marvel movies made. I don't care how much any DC EU film has or will make. I don't see anything topping The Dark Knight. It's got
that balance, right?
Yes.
Of box office, critical, and mainstream.
And it's the reason why there are 10 films nominated for Best Picture Oscar today, because it got snubbed, and it should have been nominated for Best Picture Oscar. And the only reason it wasn't because it still had the stigma of quote unquote a comic book movie, which was ridiculous. And at the top is Batman Begins. That's my favorite Batman movie of all time. Obviously, it is. It's number 1 on my list. I like it the most of the 3, even though I think The Dark Knight is the greatest comic book film of all time. I would say that Batman Begins is the greatest Batman film to date, and I watch it regularly. In fact, I watch a lot of these regularly. So maybe not. Of course, I don't watch Batman Returns, and I don't throw in. I rarely watch anything from the serials, but the other stuff I will watch. I will watch quite a bit. So that's my rankings, guys, and didn't take as long as Rick, so that's a good thing. All right, that's going to do it for part 1 of our Batman Day 2016 podcast here on BOF. Part 2 will drop tomorrow, which is Sunday, September 18th, and will feature Justin and Ryan's rankings of Batman's cinematic endeavors. So for now, take it away, announcer Rachel, and we'll catch you next time.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
Thanks for listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, batmanpodcastnetwork.com. You can listen to the podcast via iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on the BOF Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jett via jet@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShoeRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOFshoe. For Jett, Rick, the BOF Roundtablers, Justin and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thank you and good night.